Let Andrew Leung respond to this non-coercive, transparent, fiscally responsible, a direct counter to China's model of leaving countries indebted through the BRI project. So whether anybody says this on record or not in a government press conference, it's very clear this is being done to show countries in this patch of the world that this is a different way of building infrastructure and public goods in comparison to the model that China has been pushing. How do you see it, Andrew Leung?
Well, first of all, one has got to realize that the Belt and Road Initiative has been in place for over 10 years. And it is extremely extensive. It's got 6 economic corridors spanning all corners of the world, and nearly $1 trillion have been invested, even though some of them there is blowback and concerns in some quarters. But that's understandable because these are part of the learning curve of any pioneer. But as far as the Belt and Road Initiative is concerned, it is based on the fact that China is the largest trading partner to 128 countries around the world across the group, and not just in single region. And that's why there are 6 economic corridors. And it's based on the real trade, and the host countries have a very close trading partnership. I think China's the greatest trading partner. 128 countries compared with only 58 for the United States, let alone India. So the idea that this India, Middle East, and Europe corridor is going to displace the Belt and Road is a bit of
it's not about displacement. I don't think, Mr. Leung, it's about displacement. It's about showing an alternative model. China building infrastructure a certain way, leaving countries in Africa and elsewhere deeply indebted. India, Saudi Arabia, UAE, America getting together to show that infrastructure can be built a different way as well. So it's not about displacement, it's about offering an alternative instead.
Well, I think that China welcomes this Indian initiative because the more the world is connected, the more China, as the largest trading nation, would benefit. I don't think that China regards this new initiative negatively. And as far as the perceived problems of the Belt and Road is concerned, as I said, as part of the learning curve, as for indebtedness, it's instructive that a UK-based think tank, a UK-based charity called Debt Justice released a report only recently. They look at the indebtedness of a lot of developing countries, and they found that, in fact, they own most of their debt to Western commercial lenders rather than to China. So I'm not saying that China is exceedingly, sort of whiter than white. But on the other hand, as I said, it's part of the learning curve, and the debt resilience of the host countries is a big area for China to study.
But as far as Mr. Leung, that China didn't necessarily want to leave the beneficiary countries indebted because they were doing it for the first time. It's a learning curve for them, or do you think part of this whole effort is to lend, to build, but actually then, whether it's a Hambantota or elsewhere, to take over the asset and to make it your own?
Well, that criticism is very widespread, and countries are becoming very alert to this, including in Africa. So there is a bit of a blowback with regard to the BRI. And there is a belief that China itself is walking away a little bit from this project, at least at the government level, and leaving it to the banks to support it, because they know many of these loans that they have offered will not be paid back. But they'll let China deal with its own problems. But I'll come back to a very important issue, which is that both UAE and Saudi Arabia are part of the BRI project. Now, if we try and push the line that it is to compete with China and project it as a rival to China's BRI, I don't think it serves any larger purpose. Sure. The second thing is, and that's very important, if you look at what is intended, whether it is achieved fully or not is a different matter. It is a shipping hub between our ports and the Arabian coast, with green hydrogen, green ammonia, digital connections, telecommunications, pipelines under the sea, and then going on to through UAE, Saudi Arabia to Israel. Now, important thing also is that in the MOU that has been signed, which the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has signed, there is a specific mention of the route that this corridor will take, and Israel is mentioned by name. So if Saudi Arabia had some serious concerns about Israel in this regard, they won't have.
No, but are you concerned that could change? Do you now see this as being irreversible? Are you concerned this could change?
No, it won't change. It won't change because, as I said, it will actually be a failure of Saudi diplomacy if, having signed this in the presence of not only India, forget India for a moment, in the presence of Biden, in presence of Scholz, in presence of Macron, in the presence of the Italy's prime minister, and then walking back for it because of Israel, it doesn't make sense. If that was the concern, then in the initial discussions on this, they would have then tried to devise a route which bypassed Haifa. But that is not the case. Therefore, I don't think we should exaggerate it to that extent where there can be a walking back. Now, it may be that they may not be able to implement it in the time frame they have in mind. Within 2 months, they're going to discuss the modalities of it and the financing of it, and then they'll take a firm and final decision about how this project will be implemented. But the project is very good, very forward-looking.
And Navdeep Suri, you heard from William Dalrymple about ivory, perfume, silk. Yes.
Last point, Rahul, very, very briefly, which is that the BRI has now been blocked because of the Ukraine conflict and the walking away of European countries, including the Baltic states, away from the BRI. So that original idea of connecting China to Europe through BRI, it will not work anymore in the foreseeable future. And this is an alternative route to Europe, which has a lot of potential. Sorry.
India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV. India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.